What's up, everybody, and good morning to you, and welcome into the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown, presented by JR Sports Bar Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Brett and Andy with you here until whenever. I mean, because we're up on stream. But Andy, good to see you this morning, buddy.
Good to see you. In honor of Hugh Freeze, I'm doing the old from the hospital bed.
You wanted to emulate what Hugh Freeze looked like back at Liberty. So, yeah, I wondered if everybody was thinking was this some type of reenactment, but it's not. So we're just glad to have you here, brother.
Good to be here.
Well, a lot to talk about this morning. We will take your comments out there for everybody that's tuning in. Again, you can comment on YouTube and Facebook, and for everybody up live on Charter Channel 701, Channel 80, we appreciate you tuning in here this morning. For all the Auburn fans out there that stayed up till 2 o'clock this morning, you ain't been asleep very long, and you're back at it already. Auburn, man, all I can tell you, Andy, I hate it, but I just, it just seems to always get a pie in the face. It doesn't matter how great an environment we have or whatever. But hey, fought back last night and just fell a little bit short. But allowed the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers to get out to a 6-1 lead, and with the kind of pitching they had, it looked grim. But the weather came in, and I thought that helped Auburn a little bit. Kind of get Coastal Carolina into their bullpen. But nevertheless, it was a very good baseball game with both teams taking shots at each other right there toward the end. And, we had people in position to win the game there in the 10th inning, just couldn't get it done.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Brett. I made it I didn't make it to the end. I was one of those that fell asleep, but I saw the box score in the morning. This morning, and like you said, that fourth inning, or what was it, third inning? We gave up 4 runs.
Right.
That was clearly, that was obviously the difference in the game. But we knew Coastal Carolina was a really good team coming into this. We knew Auburn was going to have to play their best to beat them. So, you got it. If you're Auburn, yeah, you fought back. Yeah, that's good. So talk me through the 10th inning, or what happened? You said they had chances.
Well, we did. We had 2 men on with no outs. There in the 10th inning, and ended up hitting identical double plays, line drive shots to the second baseman, and a quick flip over to second for the double play out. And that's how the game ended. You were right there in position to win the game. Coastal Carolina's Caden Bodine really had a good night. Had 2 home runs last night, and the one in the top of the 10th was the difference. Broke a 6-6 tie. By the way, it was tied at 1:16 a.m. This morning, and when he hit that home run. So you head into the 10th, but again, 2 identical diving double plays. You couldn't have had them any more identical in the 9th and the 10th inning to end both innings. So again, balls hit on the nose. That's baseball, Andy. And again, I think what it proved is, Sam Dutton, the first home run he gave up was a 1-2 pitch. And, you can't afford to make a mistake on a 1-2 pitch in a super regional. These teams, and Auburn made players pay last night. They made pitchers for Coastal Carolina pay. You've got to be almost perfect on the mound. And, we saw a bunch of comebacks yesterday. I turned the Oregon State game off. Oregon State was up or down 4-1 with 2 outs in the 9th inning. And, pretty much, I think the guy had 2 strikes on him. I'm like, this thing's over. And I come back a few hours later and find out that Oregon State came back and won the dang game at extra innings. So, I mean, again, these teams are where they are for a reason. They don't stop. They don't quit until the last out. And, Auburn did that last night, got down big, fought back, clawed back, and, Snow hit a home run to tie the game, that electrified the crowd, and felt like Auburn had the momentum back. By the way, we were just shy of 7,900, 7,891 in attendance, which is, again, another record attendance for Auburn, adding, seating everywhere on the right field, batting cage, and everywhere they can stick a chair somewhere for somebody to get there and watch the game. But it, Plaisman Park really has morphed into a unbelievable setting for college baseball, and Auburn's invested in that park and upgraded, the clubs and the seating and the experience. And, they've bought into Butch Thompson. Butch Thompson's been loyal to Auburn. Auburn's going to get another shot at it here in just a few hours, Andy. They got to all turn around here and play again in less than, crap. They'll be playing. They'll be back at the field here in a couple hours getting ready to play at 2:00.
Well, like you said, you get to this level, it's often the little things that make the difference in the game. And, it's a 1-2 count that you got to go ahead and close the guy out. Like you said, you get a home run out of that. You can't allow that to happen. It's letting a guy go from, getting a stretch a single into a double or something like that. Something that you might think is innocuous in the middle of the game, but it turns out to be the winning run. But look, some of us have watched professional teams give up 7 runs in a 9th inning and lose. So it happens.
Are you referring to the Braves?
Not often, but you do have a lot of comebacks. And look, Auburn's right now, it's a 3-game series. Yep. It was a 3-game series. So you're down 1, you got no choice. You got to win 2 in a row. That's the mindset. I don't guess they've announced who's going to start today yet.
Let's see. I'm not sure. I'm not sure they have, Andy. I was looking. I think everybody
as good as Alvarez was last week.
You would think. He would probably get the nod. I'm not sure that it's going to be Christian Chatterton or Cam Tilly. Cam Tilly's been shaky, but you're going to have to turn around and face a guy that's 11-0 today for Coastal Carolina. But Auburn's won 10 home series in a row. That's another thing that Coastal Carolina wins today. That'll break that streak for Auburn. There's a lot on the line. Backs against the wall, and that you find out what you're made of. There'll be some urgency. It'll be hot today. I thought the humidity got to both teams there. Of course, then it poured rain and kind of cooled everything off and kind of re-energized everything. But the ball was flying out of the park pretty rapidly yesterday, and you get that this time of year, really hot, and just one of those situations where one errant pitch can leave in a hurry. And Ike Irish hit a home run. He continues his maelstrom at the plate, and then you've got all these guys are capable. Up and down this lineup, it's probably one of the most talented lineups hitting that I've seen at Auburn in a long time. Andy, you and I've talked about it from time to time, but everybody on this team's deadly, and everybody can hit one out of the park. It seems like at any time, and that's the thing. That's what got us in the SEC tournament. Texas A&M hit 1 3-run blast. We hit 2 solos. It's all about getting guys on base and having that timely hit when you can. So Auburn's going to have to not get in a hole against one of the better pitchers coming in today in the country. And that's another thing. This is the hottest team in the country. Now 22 consecutive wins for Coastal Carolina. So we talked about it yesterday on the podcast and the show, Andy. Nobody nobody for Coastal Carolina was scared to come into Auburn and play yesterday, and they proved it.
No, absolutely not. This team's won a national championship.
2016.
So I mean, it hasn't been that long. Like I said, they're 52-11 now. They've won a lot of baseball games this year. And one of the guys in the studio actually at ESPN, which is rare, but he made a good point. He said, "Look, this Auburn team is not. They don't have Ike Irish is probably the superstar,
Right.
but even he, he does everything the right way. He's not real flashy." But they're just really, a solid baseball team up and down the pitching staff, up and down the lineup. They don't have a guy that's, hit 30 home runs. They just have a bunch of guys that have hit, 5 to 10 home runs or 5 to 15 home runs. They got pitchers that are not off the charts, but they're all good. They'll all keep you in a game and give you an opportunity to win. So you're going to count on some young guys, and more than likely one of those starting pitchers is going to be a pretty young guy here in the next in this game coming up. And it's win or go home, or win or stay home. So it's all hands on deck.
Jacob Morrison looks like he's probably going to get the nod, like I said today, for Coastal. He's 11-0, got a 2 ERA. Basically, just had a 1.9 ERA going into regionals.
That staff is good.
Yeah, I mean, then you got Riley Elkoff that's 6-2, and if that were to go to a third game, it'll probably the ball would be in his hand. So it's one of the best staffs, probably in the country, if not the best staff in the country. They got a pretty good closer that's got less than a 1 ERA. And Ryan Lynch that could come in. I mean, this is a team that when you look at it, they get it done on the mound. They obviously get it done at the plate. They can hit for power. They can do whatever they need to do. They battle. They just find ways to get it done. And so they know that they're one game away from going back to Omaha, and Auburn is one game away from extending this thing out to Sunday, and we all hope it does extend to Sunday. And we'll talk some more about the baseball game coming up. I'll try to see if we have a projected starter in the release from last night. It did not say, Andy, so don't have anything definitive there. But again, they'll be back in action at 2:00. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, Jason Caldwell tweeted something out last night. So what about the fans and the players and the coaches that got to turn around in less than 12 hours to play another baseball game? It's a little bit, when you have a delay like that, when you already had a late start at 8:00, man, that's asking a lot, especially when your season's on the line to turn around and have to play again in less than 12 hours.
Yeah, it does. I mean,
we're not playing in a slow pitch softball tournament, up the road.
True.
I mean, this is a super regional game that could determine whether somebody goes to the College World Series or not.
Well, honestly, it may be worse on the fans. I mean, these athletes are, as bad as good shape as you can possibly be. I'm sure they don't really mind going at it again, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, if you're, scheduled an 8:00 game, I don't know why you don't play at 8:00 again. Not that I'm upset. I'd rather not play on into midnight, but I don't know. Is it a disadvantage? Well, I mean, it affects both teams, so both teams got to deal with it.
True. I mean, again, I kind of, that's what I was saying, though. It's both teams got to deal with it. I just think maybe if you're going to adjust things for a delay, you were expecting the game to get over by about 10, not 2:00 in the morning. So just one of those situations where you might want to adjust, but NCAA make a good decision. Come on, man.
Auburn have bad luck. Are you kidding?
Yeah, no kidding. The NCAA, speaking of them, we'll talk about that here in just a minute. A pretty monumental piece of legislation or ruling was handed down by a judge yesterday, and that came out late yesterday. We'll talk about that. Pretty much opening things up to get ready for the payment directly to players from the institution. So we're going to go ahead and go to our first break. Now, since we got started a little bit late, and we'll be back here with more of the Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR's Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air right after this. All right, so we're up for everybody still. So feel free to comment, guys. Anybody watching out there, we appreciate you joining us. Glad to have Andy with us this morning and filling in for the nomads out there traveling around all over the place.
Where are Luke and Randy?
Luke's in Boston, and he's not up there to watch a Red Sox game. And Randy's got a basketball tournament. He doesn't have a tournament. His son does. Yep. I think all of our basketball days are sadly in the rearview mirror.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess we could go back out there, but it probably wouldn't end well. Probably would not end well. But yeah, the ruling on the pay directly to the players from the universities is pretty interesting.
I don't know how you get around being employees if you're getting paid a salary.
I don't either.
I mean, that's going to be what they want to do, but I just don't know how that works.
No, I don't either, man. NCAA will pay nearly $2.8 billion, in back damages too.
Yeah, over 10 years.
I mean,
I don't know. Yeah.
Who all gets that?
It's from 2016 on.
So Cam got left out of that.
Yeah. Oh,
how did they determine
they'll sue?
Yeah, they'll all sue and they'll add some more money. Just print more money. It don't matter. They print it every day. The Treasury.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll be back for TV here in about 40 seconds. So appreciate everybody joining us this morning. Get your comments in. Auburn baseball try to even the series up today at 2:00. All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Brett Pritchard and Andy Graham with Kramer standing behind him prominently there. What a cool portrait, man.
Oh, yeah. It was a gift.
He said, oh yeah. I can see him saying that. Yeah, a classic there behind you, Andy. Did you take that out of the Louvre in France? I thought that was hanging up next to the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, well, I had stole it. Don't tell anybody. This is a bad choice to put this on the internet.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, the secret's out now. Everybody knows where to come find it. All right, so if you're just joining us, talked about Auburn a little bit. We'll go back. If you got some comments, if you stayed up to 2 a.m. and watched the game last night. It was a great baseball game. I mean, it really was. Didn't end well for Auburn. Ended kind of heartbreakingly. Thought Auburn was going to probably win that thing in exciting fashion, but second baseman for Coastal Carolina made two unbelievable plays in the ninth and the 10th inning to win. Now we shift over to talk about this NCAA settlement and the lawsuit that's been going on, and it's a milestone. Basically removed amateurization rules from major college sports. And if you want to just kind of get down to the brass tacks, and I'll read a little bit about this for everybody that may not know. It said the NCAA will pay $2.8 billion in back damages over the next 10 years to athletes who competed in college at any time from 2016 through present day. All right, so moving forward, each school can pay its athletes up to a certain limit. The annual cap is expected to start at around $20.5 million, and then move up, increase every year during the decade-long deal. So this thing is supposed to go for at least 10 years, and the payments are in addition to scholarships and other benefits. So this is in addition, kind of like what we've been talking about. Like, we don't even talk about scholarships anymore, Andy. It's really not about – Randy and I talked about that yesterday. The academic side, we don't hear anybody talk about that side, and it's dead. I mean, and Randy was asking me, he's like, well, what is the rule now on this? I said, the rule's still in place about eligibility, but I said, I don't guess anybody gives a rip. Frankly, nobody cares. Nobody talks about it. And I said, who's going to enforce it? The NCAA, you just got another ruling against them. I mean, there's no governing body to hold anybody accountable. So seriously, who's keeping up with academic eligibility, and does anybody really care, to be honest with you?
No. The answer is, I think the easy answer is no. I don't know. I mean, the conversation used to be, and we were having the conversation 15, 20 years ago. Well, these athletes need unlimited food. We were literally talking about, well, they don't, can you provide a meal for the athletes? And now, we've gotten to the point where we're talking about dividing up, starting at $20.5 million a year. Now, that you say that number, and that's a big number, but okay, so I'm thinking, so that means you can pay up to
20.
You don't have to pay that, but you can pay up to. There's going to be a cap on it. So we're talking about every athlete on campus. You got to divide that 20.5 million.
You got to split it amongst all of them.
So, I mean, we're talking about raising it. You would think, okay, there's 85 football players, but we're talking about raising that to 100? We're talking about, you got 40-something baseball players. You got 35 softball players.
Can you freely determine how the money gets divided up and who gets what?
So does everybody get an equal share? Do football get players?
Because
get more?
Like you said, Andy, $20.5 million is a big number, but it really ain't when you
start dividing it up.
Yeah, it goes pretty quickly. If you'll remember back in June of 21, the Supreme Court really kind of started all this when they ruled against NCAA, pretty much saying that college athletics should be treated less like an education-based endeavor and more like a lucrative entertainment industry. So that's what our Supreme Court decided, and they really kind of started the snowball, basically, of all these lawsuits. So thank you, United States Supreme Court, back in 2021, for going ahead and putting the final nail in the coffin of what we've all loved with college athletics. I mean, seriously, this has nothing to do with any of us on our program not thinking that athletes shouldn't be compensated. We all agree with that. We've all said that. We've all agreed with it. But this has been such a debacle and a disaster on how they've handled this. And I don't think anybody thought about the outcomes. And, I know the Supreme Court's supposed to look at it from, the law standpoint and what they feel like is legal and how you handle things from a business standpoint. But college athletics wasn't a straight business. Now, I know they've made it into a straight business now, but they weren't taking into effect anything that a kid was getting to go to school and basically not placing any relevancy or value on an education anymore for college athletes. Okay. I mean, I talked about that yesterday, Andy. I talked about how, average Joe college student gets a scholarship and all the things that they get and what they worry about versus what a student athlete worries about. And some of these guys getting all this NIL money. And if they don't finish school and they get out here in the real world and they don't go pro, what are they going to do? They can't maintain and sustain the lifestyle they lived in college. And we're hearing that from coaches. We're hearing that from directly out of the mouths of coaches that they're concerned that when majority of these kids, and remember, majority of them don't go on to play pro ball, get out here in the real world. They don't have a degree now. They haven't really been held accountable for anything. And they're trying to maintain a luxurious lifestyle that they can't maintain anymore.
It's a brave new world. I'm not sure, anybody truly knows, what's going to be the ramifications of this. We can all kind of speculate about it. Where does the sport go from here? But
where does the sport go from here, Andy? You and I talk about that all the time. And seriously, I know we feel like it's not just us here with our programs. It's everybody that talks about this nonstop all the time because you're forced to talk about this shit all the time because you don't have any other choice because it drives the sport now. It's all about and so how is this going to, in your opinion, how is this going to affect college athletics? Should we even call it college athletics anymore?
Well, I've been saying this for a while that once you start paying them, then unions are not far behind, and then it's professional sports. I mean, it's pretty much already there, but that makes it official. And I think that we were talking during the break. Once you start making a salary, then I don't know how you avoid being officially called an employee and employer relationship. And once that happens, I mean, then you get unions, then you get collective bargaining, and then I don't even know why you're even faking that you have any kind of investment in education. I mean, like you said, it's already to the point to where it's irrelevant, and guys can come in and play college basketball for a year and literally not even go to class. So that's just going to become. I think that's just going to become worse, and I'm not sure if we just don't divest the sport away from these universities in some way, because I mean, really, what's the point?
But then you bring in the fact of the separation of we all know the majority of this discussion revolves around football. And is it football that splits? Then the basketball players are going to be like, well, what about us? We generate a lot of money too. And, the NCAA tournament, what does that look like going forward? If the NCAA is out of this thing, is it called the NCAA tournament anymore? Now you're seeing all these other tournaments during the season pop up where, Auburn's about to be in the one in Las Vegas like Alabama was this past year. Where the winning team gets what they get $1 million. There's all kind of different things going on now that, like you said, used to you couldn't even you had to worry about buying somebody a dinner and worrying if you violated some rule. Now I do agree that some of that stuff was a little bit absurd and a little bit over the top, but now we've swung the pendulum all the way to the other side where we have no barriers, no rules, no anything. Somebody was asking me the other day, said, well, what about, you guys having somebody on the show? I'm like, Who are you supposed to ask? I mean, everybody's out doing whatever they want to do, anyway. Why can't they just jump on the show and talk? When, it's just so much different, man, from every aspect. And then so if they do split away, Andy, if they get away from, colleges and the football, why do we need another pro league is my question. We have a pro league. We have the NFL. Why do we need another pro league?
Good, fair question. We don't, in my opinion. That's for all now. There's going to be a new generation of people, of kids that grow up, and this will be normal for them. And I'm guessing, or I don't know, maybe will they have the love coming up for college, sports that we did, for the university as we did? No, probably not. So.
It's going to be more of just waking up one day and choosing a team. It's going to be like the NFL. It's just like, well, why do I pull for the Bucks? Why am I a Tampa Bay Bucks fan? And, I just clung to the Tampa Bay Bucks even when they sucked back in the day. It's like, okay, I was used to picking losers, right? So I just picked another loser. But it actually ended up working out because they ended up being pretty good, and they're a pretty good franchise now. And we had the best quarterback that's ever played the game for a while that played in Tampa. So he helped win us a Super Bowl. But it's really going to be wake up and who's got the star player. You're going to have kids attracted to a team based on a Cam Newton or a Bryce Young or, a Justin Fields or whoever. And you just wake up, you can be in Texas and be an Ohio State fan, or you can be in Idaho and be an Auburn fan. It's just, to me, it's going to be more like that.
Unfortunately. And, this is what people thought they wanted, or this is what I guess the athletes wanted. So they're going to get it. And, we'll say the NFL's wildly successful. And
well, it is, but it's a professional league.
It is, but people have been trying to have a successful pro league outside the NFL for a long, long time. We got I guess.
Well, let's be honest. The USFL, and I'm sorry, I don't want to be offensive to anybody that likes the Stallions and all, but that league sucks, man. Like, I love football, and you look, but I applaud them. But we've all said right before they've all failed. We've all said these leagues aren't going to make it. I don't know how this thing's still alive, man. You look in the stands and there's 10 people there.
Well, that's what I was going to say. This one is as successful as anyone has ever been, and I don't think there's but about 35 people that really watch it. So. Now you slap a Georgia or an Auburn or an Alabama tab on this, you're gonna have a built-in fan base, right? At least at the beginning. Yeah. But I don't know. It's not the same to me.
No, I know we got to get to break. We'll keep this discussion going. I just, again, that's what separated college sports and made it so fun. And again, it has nothing to do with not compensating the players. The players deserve to be compensated, but to the point where, and again, you can say, well, how can you control? You put a salary cap on things. You still can't control boosters for paying somebody under the table. I mean, that's what we wanted to get away from. You still have that now, but now it's, everything else is wide open for pay for play, and NIL never was used correctly. We'll come back. I'll talk about that. Get your thoughts on it too, Andy, after this break. Up against this break here on the Saturday Sports Countdown. Stay tuned. A lot more to come right after this. Now, NIL, I knew it was going to be the opening for abuse. Nobody ever intended to use NIL correctly. NIL is name, image, and likeness. It allowed you, Andy, to go out and solicit Joe Tire Shack for personal gain. But it was not supposed to be a payment from the college to get you to come play there. And that's what it became immediately.
Well, it
And
lasted
nobody
5 minutes.
enforced anything.
5 minutes. I think it was 5 minutes that it was in, like, I mean, what's his name? Nick, Bo Nix came out and signed a deal with the Milo's tea. And
Right.
that's the way it was supposed to be.
That's what it was
And
supposed
that
to be.
lasted about 5 minutes.
That's right.
And then it was like, hey, I guess let's make what we'll call a collective, and we'll just facilitate. We'll try to help these players.
Yeah, I knew what that was all about, and you did too.
And I mean,
yeah, collective was like, let's go out and collect all these checks from boosters to pay these players to come play at all or Alabama.
I got a question for all of these, for everybody that sends their little NIL donation to the collective every week, every month. You gonna keep doing that now that the $20 million a year is being doled out?
I talked directly to some boosters at multiple schools, not just Auburn. They've all worn thin, man. Look, you heard Charles Barkley. I mean, I guess you could consider Charles Barkley a booster, and he's open about it, so we'll just use him as a reference. He said, man, I ain't paying some kid's salary, man. He's like, I've given more money to Auburn than anybody, but I'm not pouring a bunch of money. And he said, if I'm looking for an ROI and the end results, he said, only one team every year is going to win a national championship. He said, so the rate of ROI on my money is not very good. And so I'm not going to give a kid or give Auburn X number of dollars to get one particular kid to come there and play for us. I think a lot of people feel that way, man.
Yeah. Well, I could never. I can't. I don't know. It never. I'm not going to pay Auburn to go out and pay high school football recruits to come to Auburn. I can't be a part of that. It's something deep down inside of me. I can't do it.
Well, I mean, again, you're paying to get the best players, but do they really care about why they're there? And we got different motives. All right, here we go. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Justin said, sorry, Reed. Yeah. I'm glad you're up with us this morning, Justin, after another kick to the groin last night. Stay up till 2:00 and, you get rewarded with a line drive double play to end the game. Florida State officially has, I think, as bad a luck as us. Yeah, I'm starting to believe in everything. But going back to what we were talking about, Andy, and before we went to break, NIL was structured to be an avenue for players to go out and solicit businesses to make supplemental income. Because everybody was like, the previous rules didn't allow guys to have jobs, didn't allow them to promote. They were amateurs, blah, blah, blah. Well, the NIL ruling allowed them to be on the cover of a video game, Ed O'Bannon, which started all this, by the way, way back when. Some of the younger people watching don't know who Ed O'Bannon is, but that's where all this started from. But we all saw that deteriorate, like you said just a minute ago, in less than 5 minutes. NIL was supposed to allow you to go, Andy, and talk to Joe's Tire Shack and promote getting tires at their place, and they pay you to do that while you wore your Auburn shirt and all this kind of stuff, or your Auburn jersey or whatever. That ain't what happened. The colleges immediately used NIL to pay players to come or to entice players to come to their universities. I mean, I'll never forget, the Ohio State coaching staff was caught on camera, on a phone cam, with a kid making an official visit, and the guy just openly said, yeah, man, we got you set up on NIL right here. We're going to get you paid. I mean, it was right there, and it was like, well, there it is. Cat's out of the bag. Here's the problem, Andy. There's no governing body to hold anybody accountable. It goes all the way back to the conversation we had 2 segments ago. Who's enforcing academic eligibility? Nobody. Who's enforcing the NIL rules? Nobody. Everybody's just out doing whatever they want to do. So that they're establishing some sports commission through this, lawsuit that was just settled. But that's just how to handle the structure. They hired actually a former Major League Baseball executive. Boy, that's a route to go since they've had such good luck with with integrity over the last 25, 30 years. I mean, but seriously, the NIL thing was abused right out of the gate. Right out of the gate.
Yeah, the idea of NIL is a good one. And that's one that I think was
the intentions were perfect.
That was the one that was universally backed. And I thought, because it was always kind of stupid that you had, an athlete that maybe was up for the Heisman. And, man, they had, their jersey was being sold and their name was being profited on. And so that just made a lot of sense. And so, I think we all looked at that and said, the idea of NIL is actually really good. And how have we not done this? But this just goes to show you, every good idea doesn't mean that it's going to end up, being what you think it should be or what it ought to be or what it was designed to be. But because it like you said, and I mean, everybody, it's just so funny that it just takes, and it was like everybody pretended it was like everybody had this tacit agreement. We'll just pretend that yes, it's all about the guys profiting on their name, image, and likeness, but nobody actually used it for that. That's what's so fun. I mean, and we were all, I mean, everybody in college athletics was like, yeah, we're gonna pretend and nobody bought it, and everybody knew what was going on, but yet nobody says anything about it. Everybody's just like, no, that's just NIL. It's just so this new ruling, you implement this, and you think, okay, well, this is going, and they've already said, well, the hope is that this will tamp things down, that this will put some structure to it, that this now you've got $20.5 million that you're going to give out, and so this is going to solve these problems. Guess what? It may solve a problem or two, but it's going to create about 100 more. And I don't know what they're going to be, but because there is no honesty. And there is no honesty. And until you look at it rationally.
Well, there never was any honesty, even back when we all complained and cried that, certain teams were given passes and other teams were getting hammered, which that was happening, by the way. The NCAA, that again, another reason why everybody hates the NCAA is because every fan base thinks their team's been screwed at some point by the NCAA, some more than others. But the NCAA never had any fans to begin with because of all that. People were frustrated. So then the NCAA, when they started to actually try to govern correctly and try to do some things, they lost every court case known to man. So then they just folded and said, okay, we just won't do anything. We're just going to open the gates to the prison and just let everybody out and let everybody go free into society, and y'all just go do whatever the hell you want to do. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. We have no governing body over literally one of the largest sports businesses in the world in college athletics, a multi-billion-dollar industry that nobody's driving the wheel of the bus. I mean, literally, we're on, what's that movie with Keanu Reeves, Speed? You're on the bus, and if you let it go below 55 miles an hour, it's going to blow up. But the dadgum thing's going to hit something at some point in time anyway, so you're going to die one way or the other. I mean, that to me is what it looks like. That's what college athletics looks like to me.
And now a woman named Claudia Wilkin, who admittedly knows nothing about sports, had to be explained about the differences in the conferences and how that works is now deciding the fate of college
Has
athletics.
decided.
Has decided the fate of college athletics. That's where we are. That's America, baby.
Yeah, no clue on what the heck's going on, but I'm gonna make a ruling on something that I don't know anything about. I mean, it's unbelievable, man. I don't know how we got here. I really don't, man. I really don't know how we arrived at in a situation where we have no rules. I mean, and no look, people can say what they want to. You know, everybody was kicking around Nick Saban and being the new commissioner or whatever. How quickly did he get away from that? How quickly did he say, "Man, I ain't dealing with this"? Because you start seeing guys like him and other people go, I can't control this. There's nothing I can do about this. Even with the amount of clout and stature I have in the sport, there's nothing I can do. I don't even know how to handle this. I don't even know how to reel all of this in. So you're starting to see people that their names were getting kicked around as possibly being leaders. I was on Gary Harris's show the other day, Andy, and it was like he changed his tune completely. As Gary said, Saban was talking, his language was, going more and more toward maybe he would accept that, all the way to after the golf tournament. He's like, I don't really have any comment on that anymore. He was going to be a commission, with Trump, and Trump was going to probably name him. It kind of looked like he was leading in that direction. Then all of a sudden he did a 180 and it's like, well, I don't really know anything about that, and I'm not really interested in that. And I think he probably went home and Terry said, don't do that. Don't do that, because you got out of this sport for a reason. You should still be coaching, but you were disgusted with how everything was going. So now you're going to go lead the whole thing. Probably don't need to do that. So I think they had a conversation which ended that whole deal, but I don't know who you go get to lead this thing. I don't know anybody with any sense that would want to take the job. And no offense out here, it's almost like taking like a political job, that doesn't pay very well. But then you get to incorporate all the problems of the city on your back, and you go, why the hell would I want that job? Somebody with a brain wouldn't want to put themselves in that position.
Well, I mean, people want to compare it to Roger Goodell. I mean, he's got 30 teams, 32 teams. I mean, we're talking about 100.
And they got a bunch of rules in place, Andy. It's not really that hard.
It's he's got antitrust legislation. I mean, so this is completely different. This is trying to go into, the desert and, put in a water fountain. I mean, I don't know I have no clue how you even go about trying to do it.
That's why you see people like Nick Saban have just all of a sudden said, look, I ain't touching that, man. I appreciate the faith in me, but I'm not doing it. So, all right, we're up against another break. Everybody stay tuned. More to come here on the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this. Man, I hate to be on the whole show talking about this, but I mean, it's pretty monumental legislation that just got handed down. And how stupid are we in this country to have a judge make a decision on something she didn't know anything about? That just sums it up.
I think that sums up most prosecutions and legislation like that.
And then everybody's like, we've even said it on here. Well, why don't we, why doesn't the legislature step in and regulate? Boy, have you seen what their batting average has been lately? You want some of those clowns making decisions? Is that what you want to put your faith in? I mean, while we're hammering a judge, why don't we just add? Could you imagine Bernie Sanders making a decision on how all this should go down, or AOC, or whoever else you want to add into the mix? I mean, bizarro world, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry guys. I know we've pretty much went an entire hour. We did talk some Auburn baseball. We talked some more of these, super regionals. The other 4 games will get started today, in addition to the the games that were played last night, the teams that played last night. So we'll talk about that. Auburn with some official visitors, another weekend of official visitors. Kind of run down the list of that. Obviously, I don't know squat about Alabama's. Luke not being able to be with us. For some of you Alabama fans, going to get slighted on that this morning. But I can talk about some of the OVs for Auburn, Andy, and some of the things that we got going on there. We do want to remind everybody Auburn Blitz will be on location Monday. So we'll be back at it. We were at Baumhower's yesterday, by the way. It was really good. We will have the Wi-Fi. It's not our fault. Wi-Fi. Tud
It
said
it is not good. It is
well,
not good.
Tud will have that fixed next time. So we're having an established hard line put in just for us out on the patio at Baumhauer. So, but we didn't drop yesterday, which was a step up from the last time I told him. So,
true.
But we'll be at Lake Martin Pizza in Dayville, where we will have pristine Wi-Fi service and on Monday. So looking forward to that, the newly renovated Dayville location. So here we go. We got 5 seconds. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Been doing this show for over 20 years, and we appreciate all of you out there so much for allowing us to do this show and being part of this show. And again, boy, 20 years goes by in a blink of an eye, man. It does. Andy, I remember when you and I were 21, and now I have a son that's 21. I just and you know, our good friend at Auburn, Kurt Sampson, who's the associate AD down there and it's been over sports information for so long. His son turned 21 yesterday. So I talked to him a little bit. I said, I remember when you and I were at Auburn together. And you had just gotten hired and I was 21 working in your department, and now our kids are 21. I'm like, where did that time go? So, man,
well, I had my 30th high school reunion last year. I'm sure you're having yours this year, right? So,
well, if people
that's an experience.
Yeah, when you've been out of high school for 30 years, when you have been out of high school 30 years, you're old.
Yeah,
I mean, there ain't no other way to spend that, man. That's just the way it is, and it's funny with time. You look back and go, "Well, man, I remember that. That was just a few years ago." And somebody goes, "No, that was like 16 years ago." Like Randy was talking about the drought around here, and
I heard that.
Did you hear? I mean, he said I just about 4 or 5 years ago. I said try about 20.
Yeah,
it was 18 actually, I believe. And he's like, "It ain't no way it was 20." I said, "I'm telling you, it was right at 20 years ago." And we looked it up, and it was 18. He's like, "My God!" I said, "Yeah, our 4 or 5 years turned into 2 decades." So.
Yeah. Lots of lessons from that, though. You look back. I mean, the top fans. It's going to take 20 years for this to actually get back to normal.
You talking about
the next? Yeah, it was back to normal like the next year.
About 3 rains, and we were right back to. All right, so just said, what does the NCAA do for D1 football now? Surely they're getting reduced compensation. I mean.
Surely they're getting what?
Surely they're getting reduced compensation. What does the NCAA do for D1 football? I mean, I don't know what to do. What does the NCAA do for anybody now? What power do they have to do anything? So, okay, I guess the next thing, we'll head to the top of the hour break. At what point in time does the NCAA dissolve? Now, the only thing that holds them together right now is that basketball tournament. By the way, let's screw that up some more and get up to 78 teams, which they're proposing now. 78 teams.
Yeah.
78 teams.
It's like, I mean, it's essentially like adding, how many, 12 more play-in games? 10 more play-in.
Yeah, who's watching that anyway?
I mean, yeah, those are ridiculous. I mean, what's the point?
just to say you made the tournament?
I mean,
Does anybody really consider that a tournament anyway?
Does that really add that much more dollars to the whole mix?
I wouldn't think so.
Who cares? I mean,
and that to me is less interesting than a bowl game. I mean, and that's pretty far down the totem pole now. I mean, let's be honest about it. Does anybody care about a bowl game anymore? I've been telling that to y'all for years. Y'all like, well, the bowl game, I'll watch. I'm like, I ain't watching any of it. I don't care. It's like Lane Kiffin said, and Hugh Freeze said just a few weeks ago, it's if you ain't making the playoffs, man, the season's considered an L. I mean, it doesn't matter what your record is. If you don't make the playoffs, pretty much in everybody's eyes, it's like, well, that season sucked. I mean, even if you're 9-3. And so it's playoff or bust now because that's what we've established. Am I wrong?
No, that's pretty much about right.
So what does it matter about going to a bowl game? Everybody's opting out anyway. I mean, why even have the dang things? And I hear about, oh, well, as long as somebody's willing to pay and all. Well, you're an idiot. If you're putting your logo on the CarQuest Bowl down in whatever that happens on December the 18th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Brett, you're an advertising guy. Come on now. If you can get on national television.
But I'm saying I think that's coming to an end is what I'm saying. I think these companies are like, that was a good idea at one point in time, but it ain't a good idea anymore. So I think you're going to start seeing some of these companies say, how can I put my money into the playoffs? How can I get a smaller package into the playoffs? I'm not going to tag my company to some bowl game in Shreveport, Louisiana on December 18th at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Ain't nobody showing up for it and ain't nobody watching it. It's like the USFL. We all go, ooh, football. We'll watch football. Hey, we just a football fan. Well, I'm a football fan. I hadn't watched a second of that and ain't planning on it. So, I
will watch the bowl games because I may be the only one, but I do because it's the time of year. There's nothing else going on. You're out because of, it's the Christmas time. So I will watch bowl games, and I think a lot of people do. It's college football.
It's dying.
It may be, there's too many. I mean, there's 50 bowl games every year. There's no need for that. I mean, whittle it down to have the decent matchups. And like I said, I mean, rebrand it so that, like, say, okay, well, you can only play freshmen and sophomores, and let the young guys play in these games and the future of these teams. Do something different.
No, I mean, I agree. If you want to go back and tweak the rules and who can play and do all that kind of stuff, I'd be great with that. But when you take let's quit pretending that the what do they call it? The New Year's Six or whatever. Let's quit pretending that the game that's not involved in the playoff matters. Because I tried to do that a few years ago, and y'all know I did, and y'all all laughed at me and said, you're going over there, Auburn don't care, and they're going to get beat by Central. I'm like, nah, man, we had a great season, and we're going to go over there and prove something. They didn't want to be there. Andy, they partied the whole weekend. They didn't want to be there. I froze to death getting to the stadium. It was literally 10 degrees in Atlanta, and the wind was blowing like 30 miles an hour. And we get in there, and Auburn was like, are we playing today? And Central Florida on the other sideline was like, this is our Super Bowl. So they were all out. And so when you put two teams together,
they won the national championship.
According to them, they did. And it felt like they did when we were leaving the stadium. But the bottom line is the Georgia-Florida State game the other year. Florida State's whole team left. So and Georgia beat them unmercifully. And it's like, well, what was the point of that? There was no point in it at all. So, and that's caused people to say, well, what about all these opt-outs and stuff? And if you have a team, hell, LSU had a team a few years ago that had 30 players opt out. They barely had enough to travel to put on the field. So it's like you got the bowl games suck, man. They were good at one time. They suck now. There ain't no way you can convince me otherwise. I tried to carry the banner for the team back in 2017 when we went to the Peach Bowl and I had pie in the face, and I said, "That's it. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not going to try to pretend that these bowl games matter, and they don't.
They don't.
They don't.
Anything outside the playoff, it's irrelevant. I mean, other if you want to say practice for next year, every coach loves that, but that's why I say let the young kids play. But I don't know. I mean,
well, let me get to this top of the hour break that we're 2 minutes
ahead.
late getting to, and then we'll come back and continue this intelligent discussion on how college football should be run moving forward. Stay tuned. 1 hour left here on the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this. Yeah, I just they don't matter, man. Justin said the other bowl games and more basketball tournament games are only good for something to bet on. I mean, that's true. Tony said, isn't the NCAA bankrupt already? If not, the ruling just put their future in the coffin. Yeah, they've been dead. They've been DOA anyway, Tony. The NCAA is DOA. They pretty much don't exist anymore. And that was the nail in the coffin yesterday for them. I look, Andy, on a fast track to establish some kind of commission. And who's going to lead it? Obviously, Nick Saban ain't going to lead it. He don't want to lead it. I think his wife threatened to kill him if he decided to do it. You know, I think President Trump wanted to put him in place to do that. But he quickly, like Gary said, changed his tune. And that's just the way it is. That's what Bruce Ormsby said anyway, right?
I mean, Greg Sankey seems like he knows what he's doing. He thinks big, looks at the big picture. But I don't know why anybody would want the job. It's just, like I said, I mean, it's almost an impossible task. So, and you can't, and the problem is you're not going to be given the control that you need to structure the thing.
Well, every time you make a ruling, Andy, you're going to get sued. I mean, that the court system, the litigious side of everything is going to prevent you from having. That's the frustrating thing I think that some of these guys have looked at, and they've said, well, I would consider doing it, but every time you go to court, if you try to uphold some rules, they rule against you, then I don't really know what you're doing. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he is Justin. I talked about that a little bit ago. Former Major League Baseball guy is in charge of this sports commission, and it's really not Brian Seeley over the College Sports Commission. But I don't know I don't think that really has anything to do with. I think it's two separate things. I think he's overseeing this lawsuit thing and how all this is going to play out. I don't think he's really a commissioner. I may be wrong. Who knows? I'm taking a stab at it. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Going into the taking you to the 9 o'clock hour. We're here in hour number 2, and majority of the first hour was consumed with all of this College Sports Commission stuff and the ruling by the courts that allows a $20.5 million cap to be able to pay directly from the colleges to the players now, and that will increase, Andy, all the way over up every year for the next 10 years.
That's what they say.
Who is
how does that? Who determines? I mean, every college, I guess, determines who gets what and how you divide it up and what the pie looks like. There's a lot of athletes on campus, and they're all entitled to it. So, do you have a baseline?
All right, so let me read this part to you. This is kind of the comical part that we all laughed about. Like you just broke this down a minute ago talking about the collectives. So in 2021 was when it was ruled, that college athletes could make money from third parties via the NIL, name, image, and likeness. Then boosters jumped in, organized groups called collectives that used the NIL money as de facto salaries for their teams. In some cases, paying up to millions of dollars for top-rated basketball and football players. Now that money can come straight from the athletic departments. So basically, all this did was just eliminate the collective.
Well, maybe the collectives will be the difference now. If you got a cap, and Alabama and Georgia and Auburn are fighting for a player, then the collective's still going to be the cherry on top that maybe breaks the tie. It's still going to be under the table. I mean, so it doesn't matter how much they get paid. There's still going to be that. Well, what's going to be the difference in going to school A or school B? It's going to be some incentive probably under the table.
How stupid is Charlie Baker, the NCAA president? Can I read this to you?
Can I say who?
Yeah. All right. So Charlie Baker believes this deal will help schools regain control and tamp down the skyrocketing, largely unregulated market for paying college players through third parties. Is he an idiot?
Well, like to say, I mean,
that whole statement's stupid. Like, he thinks that's going to help, regain control. It's the furthest thing from regaining control. I mean, you can't. I mean, like you said, you're going to still have the other things in place to add money, under the table, if you want to say it's under the table or whatever. I mean, it's the furthest thing from that.
Unintended consequences. That's what we always talk about. Don't know what they will be, because that's literally in the title. They are unintended.
But another point that you brought up that has got to happen. It has to happen, because this is what happens in the NFL. Salary caps and free agency restrictions are part of professional sports, and are legal because they are negotiated as part of collective bargaining with a union. And that's the only way to reel this in, Andy, is when you have a court where the Supreme Court decides that this is a professional sports league now, and it's got to be regulated in some form or fashion. You're going to have to look. And I said this yesterday. If I'm a player, I want a contract. If I'm a university, I want a contract now, because if I'm the university, I want to know that he's signing a 3-year deal, right? With consequences if he wants to go somewhere else. If I'm a player, I want to know I'm signing a contract and that university is going to live up to what they said they're going to do. Because right now, all we're hearing, and I'm hearing this out of the mouths of coaches, and you can speculate who I heard it from, that there are other coaches out there just completely lying to players and telling them this. And when they get them on campus, it becomes something else. And they're like, well, things change and all that. If I'm a player and this coach said, if you come here, you're going to get X. Well, I want that on paper. Because if it's not on paper and I get to that university, they can do exactly what I just said. They can say, well, we've had a change in some things and we didn't get as much money as we thought. You can spin it however you want to spin it. But they're basically lying to them. And so some of these coaches have been calling these other coaches and saying, why are you telling these guys this? And they go, we got to. We have no choice. We have to tell them this to get them here. So I kind of gave a PSA yesterday to some of the, not that any players were watching, but I just a PSA that said, hey, man, be mindful of what people tell you. Even though they're a paid administrator or a coach at a college, just because they tell you something doesn't necessarily mean it's got to happen.
And contracts work both ways.
That's why I'm saying
it protects both parties. I mean, we're not talking about a one-way street here. So,
no.
I mean, you get a player to sign a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal, and that way, and it's got to be, there's got to be some teeth to it. I mean, we got to quit. Well, this guy broke the contract. Well, we make a big fuss about it, but nobody gets penalized. Well, you got to hold these people accountable for a coach. If he breaks a contract, then you make him pay the buyout. If a player breaks the contract, then
Right.
you make them pay a buyout or whatever.
That's why I said if I'm a player or a university, I want a contract on both sides. The university, you know, you got the guy, you ain't got to chase him every 7 months. And when the portal opens, you got his signature on the paper. If he wants to leave, there's consequences to leaving early. Okay. On the flip side, if I'm the player, I'm getting what the university told me I was going to get.
Yeah.
And it's there on paper, and there's no argument with it. All right, we're up against another break here on the program. Stay tuned. More to come here on the Saturday Sports Countdown. I mean, that's the fast track to fixing this. That's the only way to fix it. And at that point in time, I think everybody's fine with the new world of college athletics. But we're talking about football, man. We're not talking about any of these other sports. Is that how the other sports are going to be handled too? I mean, how do you handle all that? How do you deal with it?
Yeah, it's fun. You never hear about the transfer portal being a problem in tennis or track or any of these other sports. I mean, it may be, but you know, you never heard about NIL being a problem in gymnastics or anything else. I mean, you know, it's football and basketball basically that are the biggest problems.
There ain't no doubt.
You fix them, and everything else will take care of itself, I would imagine.
Right. No doubt about it. We're at TV break, guys. Just hanging there with us. We appreciate it. We're going to shift out of this. I think an hour and 20 minutes of that's enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, it's pretty monumental. I mean, had to talk about it, kind of explain all the things that were involved in it. And
it's supposed to go in. I mean, they were apparently.
They got to go into effect now, immediately.
Well, I mean, supposedly they were planning on starting to pay players regardless at July 1st.
Right.
So, I mean, you got to get in gear now.
Everybody's scrambling.
I'll be very interested to see how they structure the payments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you watch Texas and Texas Tech?
I did, man. Texas just went ahead and destroyed.
Yeah.
Destroyed them. The Oklahoma dynasty got axed.
It'll take a break anyway for a year.
He'll take a break and they'll be back next year. Of course, they joined the SEC and they lose, but Texas won. All right, here we go. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. About 40 minutes left in the show today. Shifting out, if you got some more comments or anything about the collective and the ruling that came down yesterday, by all means. I mean, but I know we got some more people that have jumped in and watching online for sure. But it was pretty monumental. But yesterday we started the show talking about the baseball game that played into the morning this morning with Auburn and Coastal Carolina at 2. It ended around 2:00. They're going to turn around and play again at 2:00 here in just a few hours. Coastal Carolina winning that game in extra innings. It was a crazy ending to that game. Auburn had 2 men on with no outs and then ended up hitting into an game-ending double play, a line drive that, was a diving play. Andy, is a great play by the second baseman for Coastal Carolina. But, Auburn got themselves in a hole, had to battle back the whole game. Fought back, tied it up on an Eric Snow home run there in the 9th inning. And then it comes back and or in the 8th inning, and then it comes back and tied in the 9th, and then you go back and Coastal Carolina wins it with a solo home run in the 10th. So a crazy game. There were some crazy games yesterday. Oregon State was down 4-1 with 2 outs at their place, and come back and win the game 5-4 in 10 innings. They tied it up there in the 9th. So it's never say never, but North Carolina didn't have a problem with Arizona yesterday, 18-2.
Yeah, and North Carolina is really, really good. The winner of obviously the Auburn Coastal Carolina will open with, I would assume, North Carolina. They look like they're going to take care of it. They may not, but we'll see.
Well, it's a new day. Again, I remember we went up to North Carolina and handed them a pretty bad loss. And we ended up winning that super regional a few years ago. I think it was back.
Second one, we scored like 10 runs in the first inning.
Yeah, like it was a blowout, dude.
That was crazy.
I think would we beat them like 18-4 or something?
Something.
It was anyway. They took one too. All right, Murray State and Duke will get started today, and then Tennessee and Arkansas. So the SEC will get at least one team in the College World Series. The max they can get is 3. If LSU were to win their series, which starts today against West Virginia, and if Auburn were to come back and beat Coastal Carolina, you could get up to 3 teams in the College World Series. Kind of your thoughts on this? Everybody's kind of taking shots once again. 13 teams in the tournament. We're down to 4 SEC teams. It's hard to argue, man. You gotta come through in postseason, and the SEC could be down to 1 team technically that can make the College World Series after having a record-breaking number of teams enter postseason play for the first time.
Well, I mean, I looked at
kind of like basketball,
Yeah, I mean, after watching a pretty good bit of the regular season, I mean, I thought that many teams deserved to be in it in the tournament. Why were they not able to capitalize on it? I mean, you think about it, Alabama was good, but they were in a playing some pretty good teams in their regional. Florida was not very good at the beginning of the year, had gotten much better and kind of squeaked their way in. So it's not a surprise that they got knocked out. But baseball is a funny sport. I mean, you being the tournament set up the way it is, you earn your way in, to the super regionals, and you earn your way out. So the teams that moved on are the ones that are playing the best at the right time.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, again, I think the people that want to take shots at the SEC say maybe everybody beating up on each other, whatever. Maybe it's not as tough as everybody makes it out to be, And I disagree with that statement. I mean, obviously the players and the results are there, and I don't think any other conference can claim the number of teams that we have that are substantially better than the other teams in those conferences. But you gotta come through in postseason, I guess, is if you were sitting here looking at 7 teams still alive, half of your group that got in, or maybe just 6, but instead, you're down to 4. And that's just the way it is. I mean, that doesn't mean that there aren't good teams. Another thing about baseball is you get teams like Murray State, you get teams like Coastal Carolina, you get teams like Texas San Antonio. You saw like Stetson, how good they were in our regional. They'd won 40 games. That's baseball, man. You get a couple really good pitchers, you can run them out there against anybody.
Yeah, that's the biggest surprise. Vandy in Texas. That was disappointing. That's the biggest surprise. Texas was really good. Now Auburn took 2 or 3 from Vandy. They got they got swept out in Austin. They were, and a lot of the games weren't that close. I think 2 or 3. So Texas was really good. I was very surprised that they got knocked out.
How about not print cleats with Omaha on them when you're in the regional?
Yeah.
Again, bad juju, comes back to get you, and so I'm assuming all those went in the trash as soon as they lost their regional. So, but I told everybody this the other day on the podcast. I think Arkansas is the best team in the country. We'll see. They host Tennessee. Tennessee's the defending national champs, and they kind of hit a skid in SEC play coming down the stretch. But that's another team I don't think anybody would want to play. But Arkansas, I think, maybe top to bottom is the most complete team, maybe outside of Coastal Carolina. Again, hard to argue with a team that's won 22 games in a row and figures out ways to go get it done. And then they came into Plainsman Park where Auburn had a 28-6 record and had won 10 consecutive home series and just said, I'm going to come in here and take his first game.
Yeah, and played well. That Dutton had been Auburn's ace pretty much all year. He was the guy that you wanted to roll out there in that first game, and he had bad inning. He pitched pretty well.
Well, you can't give up a 1-2 home run.
No.
You just can't make that mistake. I don't know if it's the humidity, and I had somebody saying it didn't look like he was gripping the ball right, and it didn't look like it was coming out of his hand, maybe losing control. And that happens, man. I mean, again,
he looked like he was struggling a little bit. I mean, he was soaking wet.
Well, and let's be honest, Fluky was struggling with control. For Coastal Carolina, they were able to get out of it, but Auburn had its chances early in the game to put more runs on the board than they did. But Fluky was struggling with his control. I mean, the guy had only walked like 12 batters all year, man.
I was going to say, he walked 3 against Auburn in 4 innings.
Right. So, kind of is what it is on that. But I think you look at it, now you're going to be facing a guy, like I said, that's 11-0 today. And, who's Auburn going to put out there? It hasn't been released, or I haven't seen it yet. If anybody knows, please let me know or let Andy know or whoever. But I would assume, who are you thinking, Andy? I don't think it's going to be Cam Tilly.
No, I would guess it would.
Think it might be Chatterton?
I would guess it'll either be Chatterton, perhaps Alvarez, but I would guess maybe Chatterton. He's been pretty good all year. I mean, he is a true freshman, but he's been one of your better pitchers all year long. So
at this point, you got to go with who you feel like is going to give you the best outing. You're not really a freshman anymore at this point.
That's true. And if he struggles, you probably throw Cam Tilly out there.
Well, today you can't worry about game 3 until you get to it. Right. You have to exhaust all your efforts to get to that point. Okay, we're going to be up against an extended break on TV here. We got to catch up because of the start. So everybody stay tuned. More to come here on the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this. Anybody going to the game today? If you are, it's going to be hotter than blue blazes. It is, man. It's going to be hot sitting out there in a baseball stadium at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to text Braden last night, but he he lived on the baseball field and softball field last year as part of the field crew. He's doing his internship in Savannah, so he wasn't there for this for the baseball series. And all while it was a cool opportunity, super regional, those nights like that were his worst nightmare, where you start at 8:00 and then you have a rain delay, so you had to pull the tarp out and get it back off. Then you had to play the game. Then you had to prep the field after everybody else. Everybody else went home at 2. They stayed. The field crew probably stayed till 3 o'clock and got everything fixed. And then they had to be up here, probably already there right now, getting ready, getting the field ready for today at 2. And then they got to stay all day till it's over. And then if Auburn wins, they got to get it ready for Sunday. I mean, yeah, it's all great and glorious. So I got to work on the field crew, but those are the weekends that be like, don't plan nothing because you're just going to live at this field all weekend. So
you better love it.
You got to love it. Now, he loved it. Now, you question how much he loved it, but I think he's probably glad he's at Ford Plantation in Savannah, Georgia, doing his internship. Because it was a long night for the field crew guys last night, man. No rest for the weary, dude.
No.
So getting a little extended break on TV, just reminding everybody that. Haven't seen an announcement yet on who's going to get the start. See if I can find it. Anything's been announced.
Nothing on the message board that I see.
See if Auburn baseball's made a. They have not. So still waiting to see who that is. Butch Thompson battling a nosebleed last night in the dugout.
What was that about?
I don't know, man. Kept walking in and out of the clubhouse like. Hope he's all right.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, the game ended 2 hours ago. Yeah, no kidding.
If it was Sonny Galloway, I'd have thought somebody punched him, but.
Well, yeah, if they didn't, they missed a good opportunity to. He had a punchable face for sure. Where's that clown now?
Who knows?
Has there ever been a bigger a-hole? I mean,
not that I'm aware.
I mean, it's bad. Like the guy was pretty dang successful at Oklahoma, and he comes to Auburn, and all you read was hallelujah and thank God, and they had a ticker tape parade downtown at Norman, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, well, you're gonna find out. Just hold on a minute. You're gonna find out while we're excited that a-hole got out of town.
Attaboy, Auburn. Do some due diligence there. Check him out.
That and Tony Barbee, boy, some classic hires. Well, between Brian Harsin and Tony Barbee and Sonny Galloway, I'm not sure you can hire 3 worst coaches in the respective sports. Seriously. I mean, Brian Harsin gets out to Cal and runs off the entire running back room. The whole damn room left. I mean, he said, I can't deal with this guy. Offense coordinator, your entire backfield left. Said, we're out.
My goodness.
Some classic Auburn moves for sure.
I know you saw that. I guess it was on Facebook. Or no, it was on TikTok. The most miserable fans, Auburn.
Oh, yeah. Justin sent that over.
And I didn't know. I mean, when you say it out loud, I didn't think about it, but have not won a bowl game in 5 years. My goodness.
Have not won a game, and that's ridiculous. Oh, we got 30 seconds, guys, for TV. I'll give everybody a little bit of update on who's on campus. Andy's about to go back to sleep, everybody. So just bear with him. And he didn't even stay up to watch the whole game. I don't know what his excuse is and what's going on here.
I mean, really, yeah. Well, I'm not as young as I used to be.
Yeah. Welcome back, everyone, to the Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Just got a couple more segments left in the show today. We appreciate all of you that have tuned in online, YouTube, and Facebook. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel for Auburn Blitz, please do that. If you haven't, please go out there and find that and do that. To those of you that have, we really appreciate it very much. And again, love doing the podcast every morning at 8 o'clock. And again, we continue on with our Auburn Blitz show like we've been doing, Andy, for years now at noon every day. And glad to have, obviously Jim involved, and glad to have Faith on board with us now in her role. And again, just continuing to add to what we're trying to do here on the Auburn Blitz and expand everything we do. But we appreciate it. Fastly approaching 8,000 subscribers on YouTube, man. So we can't say thank you enough, and really, really appreciate all of you out there spreading the word. All right, some guys on campus this weekend, some official visitors. Again, in the ever-changing landscape of college athletics, Andy, you're getting all these OVs that happen in May and June now, and then we've got a bunch of announcement dates coming up in the first week of July. I know we've talked about them on here, but there's a boatload of them. We got one here. We got one here coming up with Sedarian on July the 2nd. And Alex City, he's actually in Florida this weekend, was at Georgia last weekend. He's in Florida this weekend. He'll be coming to Auburn very, very soon. But this weekend, some of the top guys on campus, it's hard not to start with the number 2 offensive lineman in the country, Emmanuel Iheanacho from Baltimore, Maryland. And Jason was on our show a few weeks ago, and he said, man, this guy's just a big man. He's not a fat, flabby 6'6", 6'7", 345, 350-pound guy. He is muscle. He is lean. He's just I guess reminds you of like a Greg Robinson or somebody like that. It's lean. It's a big guy, but it's very, very lean. Just one of those situations where just getting an OV from him is huge. And he's very interested in Auburn. His top school right now is Oregon, but I mean, for the most part, Andy, he's a guy you're glad to have on campus.
Yeah, I mean, any offensive tackle, major big time offensive tackle, Auburn has struggled with that. We talked about it ad nauseum. You got to get those guys, and you got to get you just got landing a couple of those guys, because that's how you build an offense. That's the anchor. That's the foundation. That big left tackle. So go out and find those guys. And the only way to get those guys, the only way to land those guys is to get them on campus and start to recruit them as hard as you can. So Oregon, that'll be tough. But what are we up against? Are we talking about unlimited NIL? That's basically what they have thrown out there. So, and what is the deal? I mean, what is it? Is it Durkin? What is the deal with Auburn's pipeline to Maryland all of a sudden?
Man, Auburn's got, well, the St. Francis Academy, there's, we got Wayne Henry here, and then you got some other guys that, that are going to be, and then Blake Woodby. I mean, Wayne Henry's committed, but he ain't signed, but Blake Woodby's on the team. And then you got Jair Edwards, who's also one of the top safeties in the country. He's there. I mean, when you start to get a little bit of a connection, and then speaking of that, Andy, you got Claude. Is it Impuma, I believe, is how you pronounce it. It may be just Claude Puma and the M silent, but another big offensive tackle, 6'7", 308. He's got a tie with Coach King Williams. So he comes from Chicago, but again, when you look at ties and how you get guys from different places, relationships matter and comfortability matters. So there's another opportunity. Auburn's high on his list, and Auburn really, really likes this kid. So you got two really top offensive tackle prospects on your board in here together this weekend.
That's huge. Again,
No pun intended with these two guys, by the way.
Yeah, really. Well, the bigger the better. No, that's not always the case, but you gotta have some size out there. That's obviously prototypical. Sounds like size. So Auburn's missed out on so many of these over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
If you could land if you could land just one of them, it could go a long way.
Yeah. I think Auburn would be happy with either one of these guys. Obviously, I think, you know, man, when you look at Nacho, dude, he's a once in a every so many decades looking guy, man. That guy's he looks different. Alabama commit on campus, Nolan Wilson, defensive lineman. Here's the tie, former teammate of Jamonte Waller. So Jamonte Waller would be hosting him this weekend. So again, could Auburn have a impact on Nolan Wilson? We'll see. But having a former teammate on the team and being able to talk there, it's kind of like with Vodney Cleveland a couple of weeks ago with Jordan Crawford. And, we went and sat down. Faith pushed that interview out yesterday, by the way, for everybody to go watch. If you haven't watched it, the YouTube channel, he talked about that and, being able to go to, and talk to him directly and see what his experience is, has been at Auburn and having that connection and, makes a big difference. And, his face kind of lit up when he talked about Jordan and how much fun Jordan is having at Auburn, how much he's transformed, Andy. So, again, when you get a teammate like that can host you, and again, maybe Jamonte Waller can do a little swaying on Nolan Wilson this weekend.
Waller's kind of one of those forgotten guys. Got hurt last year and was.
I think he's going to be a massive addition this year.
Huge. I mean, he's got probably one of the guys that's got the highest probability of coming back and that you've kind of forgotten about. So hopefully he comes in and hopefully he brings that teammate with him.
Yeah, exactly. Another kid that's right up the road, and this high school has been putting out some really good talent here lately. The last several years, Auburn was able to get Joe Phillips from Booker T. Washington High School, and now they're targeting one of the top receivers in the country, one of the top receivers in the state, in Marquez Daniel. It's down to Auburn and Florida, Andy, on his decision there, and he'll be making the decision. He told us, Faith sat down with him a few weeks ago, and he'll be making that decision, I think, on July the 5th. So we'll see how that plays out. But just seems like Auburn, I said this yesterday on the show, Auburn's in a battle with Florida on a lot of guys. You see it's Auburn and Florida for this kid or Auburn, Florida for that kid. And, I think, Randy was talking about how very similar situations for Auburn and Florida. Both teams really need to win this year. And so I think a lot of these kids are very interested in those schools, but they got to see some results on the field for both of them.
Yeah. You mentioned those two receivers, same thing as with the tackles. You get a Cedarian Morgan, you get the other kid, you got to get one of them. You may not get both of them, but try to get one of them. That's how Hugh Freeze has been talking about increasing the talent of the roster for 2 years now and saying one more recruiting class, and then we'll be where we want to be. Well, bring in that top tier talent, and then there's no more excuses.
Yeah, and another top receiver in this weekend. I mean, Marcus Davis continues to do a really good job of building relationships, and Auburn has maybe the second best wide receiver room in the country, maybe next to Ohio State's. I mean, I saw I saw a graphic. I think I've got it still pulled up, Andy. You go see who pushed this out. Yeah, the PFF pushed this out. Top 5 receiver rooms in the country: Ohio State, Auburn, Clemson, Ole Miss, and Alabama in that order. And you got Eric Singleton added to an already talented wide receiver room for Auburn. And of course, we know what Jeremiah Smith and Ohio State has, and of course Ryan Williams down at Alabama. But you look at it from a standpoint of Auburn continuing to stockpile wide receivers. You got Sadarian Morgan's going to be coming in next weekend at Auburn, which is a massive target, the number 1 player in the state, right here from Benjamin Russell. And then you got, like I just said, Marquez Daniel that's here this weekend, but you also got Jace Matthews from Mississippi, Greene County, Mississippi. Another 6'2", 185-pound guy that that Marcus Davis has made a priority, a 4-star guy, a high 4-star guy. So, another couple of big-time receivers that Auburn's targeting this weekend. And then overall in this class would like to add 2 or 3 more to this receiver room in this class.
It's amazing how things turn around, isn't it? I mean, just what, 2 or 3 years ago, we were talking about why can't we, look at this receiver room. I mean, we can't, well, we got to get some receivers because obviously the offense is never going to work. Now we got receivers coming out of our ears. I mean, you got to get, if nothing else, you got to give Hugh Freeze a lot of credit for, really flipping the roster and bringing
he has done that.
Talent.
Yeah. He has done that, Andy.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, he, again, I think when you look at the roster, Auburn's got a roster that can compete and can compete toward the top of this league. And I think he's right. I don't think he's making excuses, but I think he's like, yeah, one more solid recruiting class, and we feel like we'll have this roster with where we want it to be with anybody in the country. And I think he's right, especially if you can keep people. You don't lose people on the back end through the transfer portal. But you got to win some games at some point to make sure that doesn't happen. I mean, if you don't win games this year, you're probably going to have a boatload of guys leave, and you're probably going to struggle to sign some of these that you've had committed and some of the ones that are on the fence right now. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that you see somebody commit here in July to another team, but Auburn have a good season and flip toward the end. Auburn's notorious for doing that, Andy. And, also you got to kind of watch how this thing all plays out, with kids now. And do you want to put a full court press on at the end with money and NIL, or do you want to go ahead and shoot your shot right now here in July and hope you hang on to them throughout? So it's a cat and mouse game too on the recruiting trail, and how aggressive you want to be right now versus how much pressure you want to put on it. Maybe just continuing to maintain that relationship and being involved, but not really throwing a boatload of money at somebody right now, trying to get them to commit.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the point now where there's talk about, the word was last week, the talk was, kids are getting paid, $20,000 a month just to commit and stay.
Yeah, Kirby said that.
Kirby said that, so
and then Lane Kiffin pretty much said he's the one paying everybody.
Yeah, I mean, what's true and what's not true, and who is that what it takes to get somebody to commit? I mean, do you just get them to say they committed?
And then what do you hold them to? You ain't got anything to hold them to, though. If you give them the money, they got it.
Yeah, so who knows? And how is this going to be affected by the legislation that's going to be enacted July 1st? Is that going to change?
It's not going to change a booster paying somebody under the table, though. It's not going to change. It's drifted down to high school now. I mean, we know for a fact the Pritchett kid from Thompson was tried to be enticed away from Thompson High School to go play for a school in Georgia. we pretty much know who the school is. They never released it, but we have a good idea on who it was. I mean, you know, that's going on. And, you know, is that being fed by companies like Nike and Under Armour that have a vested interest with a particular player in the college, and the college goes, we need this guy, and he's at this school, and if we can get him at this school, you know, because the high school ain't paying them, or the college ain't paying them all that money to stay at that high school, but they could use the money from a company like Nike that's a Nike school to say, hey, you want to keep him? We want you over here. They could definitely funnel it through like that, and don't think it's probably not happening.
Yeah. Well, I think we probably, as you know, the more you know, the less, you know, the less I like finding, the less I like college athletics and stuff. So probably the less I know, the better.
100%. One more guy before we go to break. Xavier Tiller, probably the top tight end prospect on Auburn's board, from Fairburn, Georgia, 6'4", 215 pounds. You know, another one of those hybrid. I mean, that's like a receiver now. Yeah. I mean, you look at Sadarian Morgan, 6'5", 215, 220. I mean, Xavier Tiller's 6'4", 215. I mean, they got him at a tight end. So you got guys that can play multiple positions, be versatile. Sadarian Morgan's going to cause matchup problems for whoever he plays against. Looking forward to covering him this year, Benjamin Russell, and, of course, B.J. Bedgood. Those two guys lined up in the same receiver, and being in the same receiver room is going to be something special to watch. And then Kingston Prier throwing the football to him is going to be a show. I'm just telling everybody, you better get your popcorn for Benjamin Russell this year. It's going to be a fun. I mean, Kingston Prier is one of the top quarterback prospects in the state in the 28 class. So here you go. You know, he's already been to several Elite 11s and stuff, and he's been ranked high, and he doesn't look like a freshman. I can tell you that.
Right.
6'3", 200 pounds. Doesn't look like a freshman. And he don't throw the ball like a freshman. And ain't many freshmen that have a state championship under their belt already, too. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun year, I think, if we can get some protection up front. It should be fun offensively. All right, up against the final break of the show. Stay tuned. One final segment right after this. So, Auburn's got, again, another and then next weekend, going to have a lot of really big-time players, but you've had Sadarian visit Colorado, Georgia last weekend. He's at Florida this weekend. He'll be at Auburn next weekend. And then he will be at Alabama this final weekend, and then he'll make his announcement on July the 2nd. So, and again, you know, however the commitment works out, you know, we'll see. And then I think a lot of guys want to go ahead. Vodney Cleveland's going to announce on July the 4th. You got several guys. Marquez Daniel, July the 5th. And all of those are top targets for Auburn. But you're going to have guys that wait and see too. They maybe commit, but then they're going to watch Auburn very closely this year. And if Auburn wins 8 or 9 games, Andy, and they look like they've turned it around and they're knocking on the door of the playoff, I mean, I would expect Auburn to flip some of those guys. Now, if they go lay a dang egg again and go 6-6 or have another losing season, man, it could be very. I hate to put all the eggs in one basket, but this could be a devastating season for Auburn football in this day and time, because you're probably looking for another coach. You're probably going to be hemorrhaging players. You just hope it win. It's very important, I think, more than ever, to win games this year and really continue to build the momentum you got going, because Auburn does have a lot of momentum roster-wise right now.
Yeah, no question about it. You've said 8 wins is the basement.
It really needs to be the basement. It needs to be the basement.
Otherwise, you're probably looking for another coach.
And, you know, with another coach, you see what you're going to get. I mean, you're going to get turmoil, massive, maybe more than ever. You know, you just the fact that the transfer portal and all that, just people, you're just going to hemorrhage people, man. I'm just telling you. Just let's hopefully don't go down that path. Let's go to Waco, Texas, and get a win out of the
That'd be
gate.
nice.
Yep, going to be a long 24 hours for me. Call a football game on Thursday night and then drive to the airport and get on a plane and fly to Dallas and then drive from Dallas to Waco to cover that game at 7 o'clock, and then turn around and fly out Sunday morning to come home. So
that'll be fun.
That'll be sand in the eyes. I can sleep on the plane for a little while at least. Won't be that long of a flight, but all right, here we go. Welcome back, everyone. Final segment here on the Saturday Sports Countdown. Again, thanks to JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Andy, two longtime partners of ours here on the show. We couldn't do it without them.
Love them. Yeah, absolutely. Been with us forever, and just quality people and quality organizations.
Yeah, I can't say enough about them. Been with us since basically day one. So we're glad to be associated with them, and they're glad that, you know, we're glad that they want to be associated with us. So really, really appreciate them. All right, here on a short segment, got to get out here at 8:57. But Andy, just kind of closing thoughts here. Auburn baseball in action today at 2 o'clock, playing for their World Series life. Got to win today or the season's over.
Yeah, it comes down to this. You know, can you force a game 3? You put yourself in a hole here, so you got to fight your way out. But Auburn's been really, really good at home all year. They are a very good baseball team, top to bottom. Got a lot of veteran presence, so you know, you're going up against a really good pitcher. But you got to have a good plan, got to have a good, be patient at the plate, let the game, you know, slow down a little bit. If you go up there and get in a hurry, then, you know, you find yourself in another hole, and then it just, you're playing from you're the away team in your own stadium today. So, hey, you know,
got to find a way to get it done.
Everything's on the line.
Jacob Morrison more than likely going to be towing the rubber for Coastal Carolina, 11-0 on the season, a 1.90 ERA going into regional play. I think it went up to a little over 2 after regional play. But Coastal swept through that regional, and here they are with, you know, 1 win away from a return trip to Omaha. This coach is his first year at Coastal, so he's already got 52 wins. They're 52-11 on the season, but again, if Auburn can win the next 2 games, they'll tie the school record for most home wins in a season at 30. So Auburn really has accomplished a ton this year in baseball, a team that was predicted to finish 12th in the preseason in the conference. It's sitting here really toting the banner along with Arkansas and Tennessee and LSU as the teams that are left standing here with a chance to go to Omaha. You don't get this opportunity every year, Andy, and you dang sure don't get an opportunity to host a super regional. It's the first time in school history. Would love to see Auburn rally today and get a win, tie this series up, and force a winner take all on Sunday, man.
That would be great. Still don't know, like you said, that, you know,
don't know who
we're going to throw out there, but whoever it is, it's all hands on deck. And hey, I mean, you know, there again, you know, we didn't mention it, but give Carson Myers a lot of credit.
Yes,
that's twice now he has come in a, you know, in a tough situation and just been outstanding. Transfer from UAB. couple of years ago.
Right.
He's been a very important piece as a starter and out of the bullpen for the team. One of those veteran guys that you're going to throw out there. So, but
let me get out for TV, Andy, and we'll continue this discussion. That's going to wrap it up for us here on the Saturday Sports Countdown. Again, want to thank everybody for joining us each and every Saturday. We'll be back with you same time, same place next Saturday. For Andy, I'm Brett saying we've enjoyed it. We hope you have. See you next time. But yeah, continue on, Andy.
No, I'm done. I just I get off to a good start. It seems like if Auburn can, get through the first 2 or 3 innings,
Right.
I feel like they got enough pitching that they'll be fine. But
Yep.
If you get behind early, that's gonna be tough.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, Andy, appreciate you coming in out of the bullpen.
That's all right.
On this Saturday.
With my broke leg.
Well, your broke leg. Hope you continue to heal up, brother.
It's healing.
Yep. Has no choice, right? Kramer will look after you back there.
He's watching over me.
He literally is watching over you. So, but appreciate it, and we'll see you this coming up week. And we got another busy week of stuff going on Auburn Blitz. We will be on location Monday at the Dayville Lake Martin Pizza on Highway 49. So we want everybody to come out. We'll have some T-shirts. We're working on a brand new website right now. We will have a merch store up for people to buy. We get a lot of asks for hats and shirts and stuff. So we give a bunch away on our own location. So there's one way to come get our stuff that way. But if you really just want to have it, we're gonna stockpile some things and have them to be able to be purchased if you really want them, and we'll be able to ship those out to you. So we're going to be working on getting that. Faith working feverishly right now on our website. She's trying to come in, Andy, and clean up our unorganization here. The fly by the seat of our pants here. She's had a tall task, but I think she's up to it.
Well, that's a good thing.
We need some organization in our lives for sure.
It'd be nice for a first, change.
Yeah, I know it, man. I actually know where something is for a change. So, like walking into Braden's room in here trying to find a shirt that he texts me about. Hey, that shirt's in there somewhere. I'm like, yeah, it's in here somewhere. But the fact that somewhere it could be in a lot of places, you're not going to find it. Probably more than not. But, Landy, appreciate it, buddy. Hope you have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you next week, okay?
Sounds good.
Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. We'll see you on Monday morning for the Auburn Blitz podcast. Everybody have a good day.